Welcome to Money, Manifestation, and Business, the podcast that shows you how to use your energy, intention, and consciousness to reprogram your money mindset, unleash a new level of possibility, and create a life and business that lights you up. I'm your host, Jamie Berman, and I invite you to join me each week for a dose of inspiration, coaching, and teachings to help you rewrite your money story, create abundance on your terms, and grow your business in a way that's fully aligned for you. This is going to be so much fun. Let's dive in. Hi, everyone. We have a super special guest today that you're all going to love and be so incredibly inspired by. We have Kelly Tipton here, who is she was one of my students back in the day whenever I was training coaches on becoming coaches. And that's how we met. And I feel like I always felt so drawn to Kelly. Like we had some kind of like soul curriculum together because we were very aligned on so many things. And then about 1 year ago, it's almost coming up on 1 year, Kelly joined the money manifestation movement and really went all in doing that work. And she had written me just a couple weeks ago and said, oh my gosh, these are the things that have happened since then. And I said, Kelly, we need to get on a podcast episode and talk about all of this. I said, I want to talk about your whole journey and your transformation because it's been amazing for me to witness it first as your instructor and then coach, and it's just awesome. So I'm super, super excited to have Kelly here. So before we dive into it, I'm going to tell you all a little bit about Kelly. So she is the owner of Ruby Red Media Group, specializing in automotive advertising and marketing for over 15 years. She began her career in New York City working in national campaigns for Wendy's and Verizon Wireless. In 2009, Kelly returned to Texas to marry the love of her life and launch her advertising business. Despite initial challenges and self-doubt, Kelly persevered, growing her expertise and confidence in the marketing field. In 2021, she expanded her skill set by becoming a certified life coach, helping female entrepreneurs navigate negative emotions such as anxiety, self-doubt, and overwhelm to create the career of their dreams. Kelly's marketing, creative power, and mindset coaching has made her a sought-after thought leader in South Texas. She holds a degree in the University of North Texas and is a certified Kundalini yoga and meditation teacher from Rama Institute of Applied Yogic Science in Los Angeles and is certified through the Life Coach School. Kelly is happily married to her husband, Nick, and together they have 2 children. And what I love about Kelly's bio is that it shows you that Kelly is amazing at balancing out the feminine and the masculine in business. And we see this because she owns this amazing media group and is doing advertising and marketing and has a massive, incredibly successful business, but is also a Kundalini yoga and meditation teacher and a life coach. And I've seen, Kelly, how you've brought all of that into your business and have utilized that background in your marketing business. And I think that's what has allowed it to blossom so much. So I wanted to talk about how you balance the masculine and the feminine and what you do to set yourself up for success. But before we go there, I want to talk a little bit about your journey since 2021. Because when I met you, I think, was it in 2021?
I think so.
Okay, yeah. When you became a certified life coach and you were actually going to become a coach, was your intention to let go of the marketing, or was it like whenever you started thinking about coaching, what was the idea?
Yeah. So the idea there was, okay, we had just gone through COVID and I wanted to like recreate this image of myself. And I've always loved coaching, and I was like, let's go for it. This is the time to jump in. Let's do it. And so that's where I met you, Jamie. And I remember receiving the email like Jamie Berman is going to be your coach. And I was like, I don't know who she is, but I know that I'm going to learn so much from her. And it was really like this energetic match. I really remember the moment in my life where like that email came in and I was like, okay, we're going to work together. So it was since then I started my coaching business and was also working in advertising. and so it went well. I was balancing both at the time, but really like my spirit always kept on going back to advertising. It's just something that was very natural to me, something that I had studied. And really, if I look back, back in the 2000s when I had graduated from college and was really visualizing my life, it's what I had at that time. It was successful. I was making money. I knew how to be creative and solve anything that anybody wanted for their business. I could do that.
Yeah. And I remember it was like a year ago when we were talking, because that's when you joined the movement and you were like, the advertising business is killing it. It's doing amazing. I'm bringing in more and more money through that as I practice all the mindset and the coaching and all of that. You're like, it's improved the advertising and marketing business. And you're like, but this coaching business, I don't know. You're like, let's work together so you can help me grow the coaching business. So at first, last year, I remember that's what we were working on, right? It was like, you were like really wanting to grow that. So I want to talk a little bit about that journey and how that felt, and how you ended up. Eventually, it's not that you let it go, but it's like you use it in a different way. So tell me a little bit about that, of how like 1 year ago you were grinding, trying to get the coaching business going. And now there's much more ease and you have grown so much this year in a different way than you probably expected.
Yeah, it was so cool because it was like these parallels happening in two businesses. One was advertising business was going, I kept doing that, right? But then I had to learn this new skill. I had joined groups and it was like, okay, you're a coach now, 100K, 100K, like that's all I heard. So I was like, okay, I got to make 100K to be successful. Otherwise, I'm not a successful person. All while I was using like that mindset and all of that towards like, it was a subconscious thing in my advertising business, right? And the thing was that in my advertising business, and this is how the movement helped me, I didn't really know how to look at numbers. Like I knew how to put budgets together for other people, but looking at my own numbers in my business, like P&L, I was like, I don't know what that means. Like that's weird. Like, and so what happened was I decided to hire a CFO, amazing, and a bookkeeper to really help get my books in order. And CFO helped me understand what my profit and loss, what it meant, what a balance sheet meant. And I was like, she's like, your business is really like making a lot of money. And I was like, it is. And I was like, oh my God, but all I want to do is make $100,000 as a coach. And she's like, this is a really successful business. I told you what that number was. And you're like, well, why don't you stay in marketing? And I was like, because I said I was going to do this. I said I was going to become a coach. So that's how that kind of manifested and started
kind of questioning it. Yeah, that's amazing. I know. I remember this. And it's not like, it's funny because whenever you say that, it sounds like, oh, maybe it's a new business. Like maybe you're just, maybe that's why you didn't know what you were bringing in. But no, you were bringing in like a big solid number and you loved it. And every time I heard you talk about it, you're like, yeah, it's so easy. I'm naturally good at it. It's great. I'm like, I'm like, of course, if you have a soul calling to become a coach, let's go. Right. But I was feeling it was just like a lot of resistance. So I was like, let's just question this. Why, And I remember, I think it was actually we had a consult you were thinking of joining the mastermind back in,
November.
November. And we had a consult about it. And I remember thinking, I'm not finding the why. Like I kept digging for it and I'm like, why do you want to do this? Or what's the vision? I'm not seeing it clearly from you. I'm not receiving it from you. And that's when I was like, I don't think the mastermind's right. Like right now, I was like, let's stick in the movement. Let's figure out what you really want. Cause I couldn't see a solid vision from you. Like whenever I asked questions, it was more of, I think, and this is what a lot of people fall into of I should, or this is what people say is successful. So what happened after that?
So from there, I said, well, if I am bringing in this much money, then how could I make this bigger? Like, what is it that I really need? What's keeping me back from being even more expansive? And I just came up with this vision of what it looked like to be even more comfortable in bringing in money and expanding. And part of that was creating a team because I was doing most of the work on my own and then had a lot of virtual teams. So that there, I was like, whoa, well, I could actually have a team of people to help me and I could delegate all of this and have more peace of mind and freedom and really grow from there. And that really lit me up. I was nervous because I kind of believed that I couldn't manage people for whatever reason. I was managing, virtual teams, but I didn't think that I could manage like an assistant or my content manager. I stepped into that idea, not knowing exactly how it would come together, but I started to believe that. And really, a lot of the work that we did in the movement is really what helped me just like move forward. So, the best advice I got was like, hey, maybe the Soulful Six is not for me. And it wasn't at that time because I really had some like foundation to lay down.
Yes. Yeah. And that's the thing is like, unless I see that there is a vision and there's a clear project you want to work on, I'm like, it's not the right container. But the movement I knew it was, and I knew that that could help you get clear. And so I was like, let's just keep working on getting clear. So at what point, because it can be hard to release a vision that we've had, because you were also manifesting this 100K coaching business as well. And it can be scary to let go of that vision. I know for me, when I've made pivots, I've really questioned myself like, is this right? Or am I giving up? And, I just get in my head about it. Do you remember what that process was like for you and how you finally allowed yourself to release the vision in that way and really go all in on your marketing business?
Yeah. So I had I had always had this idea of what it looked like to be successful and have an advertising business that was successful. And some of the questions that you had asked in the movement were like, well, who is she? What does she look like? What is she? And I was like, that's me. That's me. But I was trying to put that me into my coaching business, which she was showing up there as well. But it was really part of knowing, okay, well, if I'm already there in my advertising business, can I even step it up even more and take some more courageous action and call in this team that I visualize that I want to help support me there in advertising? And with the skills that I learned through coaching, how can I help elevate my team as well? And that's where the magic is. All of the skills that I have coaching myself, coaching other women, I can now take that with my assistant, with my virtual teams, and get really crystal clear in what it is that we need to do for our clients, those projects, what they look like, and in a loving, kind, compassionate way, lead the team through any obstacles, any challenges coming up. I feel really grounded in my mind, who I am, what I want, what I can see, and then I can just guide them to make it happen.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So it's almost like you just gave yourself permission to let that vision pivot. So it's not like you even released the idea of being a life coach. It's like, where can I apply those skills in a way that feels more fun, that's going to actually allow this vision that I'm seeing in my mind grow? I love that. I think it's amazing. And I think that's one of the keys is just like we have to let go and decondition all of the shoulds and the ways that we think that we have to do it. And sometimes we have to have that honest conversation with ourselves. And I think it's with our soul, not with our ego, because our ego always goes for like what we think we should do or what like society thinks or any of that. So I'm like, on a soul level, what do I actually want? I think it's one of the most powerful questions we can possibly ask. And then it's led you to this. And ever since then, oh my gosh, the growth of your business in the last even 6 months or, overall year, you've had incredible growth. But now you have grown this team and you've stepped into a new identity. So what are some of the manifestations that have been an effect of like really letting yourself go for what you want and challenging this idea that you can't manage a team and stepping into this greater vision? What's happened? What's shifted?
Right. So I really, for a long time, most of my career kind of just held back thinking like, I don't really need any more help. Like I can do it all. And I noticed that was really like an energy suck. Like it just kind of kept me spinning and not really moving forward. And part of that too is just our family businesses. We have several businesses and continue to be more creative and more creative opening other ones. So I know that my own like feminine power is to hold those visions and energy for my husband. And he's not totally into manifestation, doesn't really know, but he'll ask me to go and do the work.
I
And so
love
part of
it.
yeah,
He's
he'll
like, it
what we'll
works.
do is, yeah, go do work. Like, however, but he doesn't want to be part of the process, which is fine
Yep.
because
Yep.
in Kundalini yoga and spiritual teaching in a relationship, two people can be together. One can hold the energy for the relationship, and so I step into that every time we're like talking about the future and what it is that we want to bring, create. I just use a lot of the tools that we've learned in the movement into those practices, and things come together. I don't know how. I can't
Yeah.
tell you exactly how, but I know that I am grounded and have this skill on visualizing what it is that I want to create.
Yeah. So what looks different about your business this year from last year?
So big difference is, well, two. One, I have an amazing assistant who I love so much and can count on with everything. Delegate, she gets things done. I'm an amazing content creator who gets things done. We've created system and processes to make sure that things don't fall through the cracks and are getting done. And that is just such a relief of like my time and mind space. And I feel with that, I'm able to think about either solving problems, being more creative, coming up with solutions for clients. So that's helpful. That has been released. And then another part of this process was learning about like numbers, because I was a person that was like always scared of numbers. I'm like, I'm just not a numbers person. But honestly, with what we learned in the movement was, how can we just like step into less scarcity and more abundance? And I really like that idea. Like if I wasn't so caught up in the numbers and what they looked like, anything is possible. And part of business, like there's ups and downs with numbers. Like it's not just like going to be straight, but at the end of the year, you see the final number. I'm like, whoa, that's pretty impressive. So I was really able to let go of like drilling into what specific numbers look like, and instead kind of like open up my heart and mind and know like this will work out. I don't know exactly how, but it always works out.
Yeah. Hey, entrepreneur, coming to you real quick to let you know about a super special promo we have going on for the money manifestation movement, which is my signature coaching and manifestation program. Now, if you join us this week, you are going to get $2,500 off the cost of the program. Yes, you heard that, $2,500 off this week only until Friday at 11:59 p.m. PST. So if you've been thinking about joining and getting some money coaching and learning more about manifestation and universal laws so that you can create more abundance in your life, well, now is definitely the time to do it. Do not wait. So just go ahead and click the link in the show notes and it will take you there. And I am so excited for you to join us and to support you on your manifestation journey. Now back to the episode. Yes. Oh my gosh. Amazing. And the business has grown as an effect of that, right?
Right. It's so fascinating because I thought that like business growth would be like, oh, I'm going to change. I'm going to be a different person. And I'm going to like, none of that has changed. I feel like I'm just wiser and smarter and like know how to look at numbers. And I don't want to say they don't mean anything, but the negatives or the positives, I'm really like, I feel like I can write it more neutral without the big highs and lows of it, because I know that it fluctuates and it always works out. So that was a big part of the growth.
Yeah. And in the past, are you saying like if you had like a down month or an up month, it was just more of there was more feelings around it?
Well, I'll even get clearer. And I'm so like, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I'm so honest. I never knew how to look at the numbers. Like I was so scared of looking at the numbers in my business. I just knew somehow I knew how to pay pay my vendors and take money for myself. Like that was it. So
Yep.
learning about like numbers of business, there's like, it wasn't something to be scared about, but it really took a lot of mindset work to get over like the fear of looking at numbers.
Yes. How do you feel looking at them now?
So it's still not perfect. In fact, this morning I was on a call with my CFO, and I still have, highs and lows, but I just know that this is part of business and it fluctuates. Those numbers will fluctuate. I do go back and like, hey, just make sure that I did all my billing correctly and whatnot. That's like the mind part. And that's a little bit of the doubt coming in. But the other 50% is like, it does always work out. So I'm certainly not going to lose sleep over this. I'm not going to be stressed out, screaming at my husband or kids because of the numbers. My old self would have done that. Like I would have hid, I would have like freaked out. And now I'm like, okay, it'll work out. It'll figure itself out. Somehow it does. I don't know exactly how right now, but it will.
Absolutely. And what's great about actually looking at numbers, because I totally hear you. I used to be I'm not a numbers person. I'm not good at math. I didn't look at any of that. And for me, what's also been helpful, like you, is actually hiring support in that. Because I don't know if it's like my ADHD, what it is, but I have a really hard time sitting down and doing spreadsheets. So if I can hire out and get support around that, which really the investment is so beyond worth it, it's so much easier for me to look at it and see big picture, So I think receiving support is a huge thing around that. Like you said, hiring the CFOs, hiring the bookkeeper. But what I also find so beneficial is that then it helps you understand patterns so much more in your business. So it's like, oh, of course, it's down a little bit, let's say June and July. Oh, that's natural. This is what happens in my business around this time. Most of the time, we have a little dip these months. So it's like, we can really start understanding the patterns of it, and everyone's business is different, of course. But that's what was really helpful for me, is like starting to see those things. That way it wasn't like this huge, scary thing that I didn't understand. So I acknowledge you. Your identity has shifted in the last year from like solopreneur to like you are a CEO, you have stepped into that. And I know it's been a journey for you. And I know you've done it one piece at a time ever since you decided to really go all in on this vision of expanding your advertising and marketing business. And it's been so fun to see, because it's like, there'll be times where I remember you to get coached and you're like, or you're like so much fear around hiring or around stepping into that. And then 2 months later, you're like, I got my dream assistant. It's good. I'm managing her. And I'm like, that was fast, and just like little by little, I saw you step further and further into this, and look at where you are now 1 year later. It's absolutely inspiring.
Thank you. It's been so much fun.
Yeah. So I want to talk a little bit, because when you were sharing you sent me a list of so many different wins that you experienced in the last year, from incredible business growth to, having a team, and even like personal things. And I said, let's talk about this. And you were like, you know what? I also want to talk about is also how you feel having the manifestation. Like you said, I thought it would feel really different, but I feel like myself. And I want to dive a little bit more into that, because I actually think it's helpful to know as we're doing future self work. Because I think sometimes we envision this future self that makes all this money, that makes the 7 figures and does this and has this or has whatever it is, right? And we're like, oh, it's just bliss all the time. My future self is so calm 100% of the time. I never experience any negative emotion. I know that's where like my future self points me. But I think it's fun to actually look at it as like, no, they're actually not that different. What do you notice is different? Like what is the same and what's different after having this big leap?
Yeah. So the same is like, I'm still a human. I still experience excitement and I still experience nervousness. What has changed though, because I used to think like, okay, and this is in all parts of my life, which is so fascinating that I know now, because I remember like through a lot of this work that we did, one feeling that I like asterisked was like, hey, whenever I'm feeling urgency or whenever I'm feeling excited, pause and let's like question that onto why we're making the decision that I'm making. So usually and that's always like a key like feeling for me, because I used to think like, oh my God, this is going to be great. This is so exciting. It's going to happen. And it did. But then like what happens is on the other side, it's almost like it's elevating, right? But there's going to come like new challenges, new opportunities, bigger things will be asked and have been asked of me. So the part where I still like doubt myself and think, oh my gosh, can I do that? Like she's still there. But what has helped me, what you've helped me with so much is like, hey, and we can step into courageous action and do it, because the truth is, all along my life and journey, I've always done hard things. And I failed a lot of the time. Like, really, that is what has gotten me here, because I just know how to feel failure and know how to feel uncomfortable and know that, you know what, this is totally normal. This is part of growth and I'm going to be okay. And let's just do it anyways.
Wow. That's huge. So that feeling doesn't go away, which I think people think that it does. I know I thought it did. I thought like, at first it was like, once I make 100K, I'm going to feel so rich and abundant and all this and successful. And I get there and I'm like, wait, what? I don't feel different. Is this me? I'm making 100K? I don't get it. Right.
I mean, I will say with I like, for me, it's always like taxes. When taxes come up quarterly, I'm like, it's like a new level of how to look at money, right? I didn't plan for like for the taxes. And now I'm like, okay, let's make sure you have your system to put away that money every month, quarter, whenever it is, so you can pay for the taxes. And like, I let go. I used to get really upset when I had to pay taxes because I just didn't plan for that. I didn't plan to give that much money away. And the truth is, I want to pay taxes. I want to follow the law. And put that money away and kind of move on from that.
Totally. And my thought is always like, I want to pay a lot of taxes because that means I'm making a lot of money. I'd rather do that than not pay taxes at all. Yeah, because it's actually a good sign that things are working and business is growing. So that was a shift that I had too, 100%. That is so good. So I'd love to talk about how you bring practices that you learned over the past year from the movement and your background in Kundalini yoga with, mindfulness and meditation. I just want to hear a little bit about your manifestation process, because I know you have it very dialed. And I love that even your husband knows what it is. He doesn't quite get it, but he's like, go do the work, go do it. It works. It's so good. I'd love to hear more about it. What practices have helped you as you've been growing this business?
Yeah.
So and life. I mean, I know it's not just business that we apply it to. We apply it to everything once you learn it. So yeah, I'd love to hear.
So ever since I was a little girl, I can still feel her. Like, I was always one to visualize what I wanted, what my house would look like, what like the kind of life that I wanted. And for a while, I remember kind of like shutting that off and like not being honest in myself because people would think I was weird. And so then I found Kundalini yoga and I was like, this is amazing. It has helped so much with my anxiety and overwhelm. And learning a lot of breathing techniques and how to meditate to really calm like the negative mind and step into my true self. So that's really where it started to come together. I started feeling happier. My marriage was amazing. We had kids. I was raising them. I was like, okay, this is how I can do it. Finally, thank goodness. And so part of the process, what I do is I practice Kundalini yoga. I think it's amazing. So set my mornings up with that. We listen to mantra, repeat mantra, sound vibrations for the mind to clear out the subconscious mind. I like a pretty house. I like my house to be clean. I want the same with my mind. So that's super important because I can always tell when I'm like in offline really because of my feelings and emotions. So practicing yoga and breath work is part of it. Visualizing. And another part is journaling and writing out the vision. I am amazed with all of the stories that I've written and how they have come to the 3D and are exactly what I wrote. It blows my mind. So I take it really serious, and I take it serious, but in a fun, loving way. That is part of my process. And then too, another part that I don't think people talk about very much is planning for your success. So we want to, we want to have all the things we are trying to manifest. but also part of that is planning for the success of that and enjoying the manifestation process, like the actual process so much that it's not really the outcome, but like learning about how much I learned about myself through the process and continue to every day is so much fun. Stepping into myself, I'm already there. How does she look? How does she talk to people? What does her hair look like? I wrote all of that out. And it's a lot of the work that we do in the movement as well, but it just always came natural to me. And it is just so much fun because it kind of gets out of your own head and you're like, let's just play and let's just see what we can create. And it works.
Oh my gosh. So fun. Do you have an intention before you do your writing process, or does it come through you? How does that work?
Yeah, my writing process, I go in with an open mind and heart. Like whatever wants to be downloaded and I like to type it out, will come through without the judgment. So I think early on when I used to do this, it was probably kind of, I would hold back because I was judging it like, oh, I don't know how that's going to happen. Now I'm like, anything's possible, really. So like, let's just try it out. In the best case, my best dreams, what does that look like? So dropping the judgment is how I'm able to like open up my mind and heart and like draw in what it is that, is meant to be or not be.
So it's a non-attached. It sounds like that. It sounds like, yeah, like you said, it's coming from like a fun, playful. I mean, you even light up when you talk about it. How do you not take it too seriously?
Because I have this belief, like it always works out however it's supposed to. So even when I have like something very specific, I have noticed that maybe it doesn't specifically happen like that, but it happens like in some sort of dimension. It still comes down. And I'm just aware of that, right? So I like in my mind make a mental note. I think that's where the mindfulness and really stepping into like gratitude, thank you, and appreciation. And that's what I think it like amplifies even more. And it's like from a place of love too, and being genuine and authentic. Like when I just decided to step into this is who I am, people can feel that vibration. They're like, there's something about you when people, you have lunch with me or we talk and hang out, like just feel comfortable. And we talk about all the things. So that's a fun part. Just not taking myself so serious, focusing more on the process. The outcome will be there. It might not be tomorrow. I mean, some of my manifestations like have taken years. And then they come and I'm like, you asked for this, like, just let's receive it.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Amazing. And I mean, just like you said, it always works out. And I love that you share that it doesn't always work out specifically exactly like I intended it or thought, but in some form, in some energy, it ends up working out. And I think that goes back to what we were talking about originally with life coaching and how you're still bringing that, but now it's with growing your team and working with your team. So it's still there. It's just not in the same exact way the vision was. So I love that. And I think that's one of the most powerful thoughts anyone can ever think is it always works out. When we think that, then we are able to trust and surrender. So that is so beautiful. I love it so much. It's been so fun seeing you combine all of this. And I mean, it's what I love too, because it's the thing that works. Not that I don't show up and work and, tap into my masculine too, but I wouldn't be where I am today without that inner work and bringing this spiritual element to it. And I would say probably the same as for you, because it's such a foundation of everything that you've created. So
very much. Yep.
So good. I love it.
One more thing that I've learned so much and like love about the work we do was the law of giving and receiving. Because in my mindset, I was like, well, let me just give, work really hard. I know how to work really, really hard. And so like, I don't want any attention. I don't need any praise, no thanks. And we started talking about that in the movement. I was like, oh, that does matter. Being able to cultivate the skill of receiving is just as important as giving. And it's something that I've taught my mom, I've taught my sisters as well, because I think that was just a generational like hiccup. So the being able to like, okay, I can receive this and it's okay, and I'm safe, and I can give with an open heart. And it just keeps on like growing and growing and growing. And it's beautiful.
So good. And that is so true. And I think, especially for women and some of the conditioning that we were brought up with, that a lot of us struggle with receiving. We think that our abundance block is, oh, we're not giving enough or we're not doing enough and I need to do more. But the opposite is actually usually true. We're usually pretty good at giving. It's the receiving that we have to work on and open up to. And it's not comfortable always. It's like we have to rewire our brain to allow ourselves to receive. Was there anything that you did specifically that helped with that? Or any, like, maybe you had to lean into some courage to do it? I don't know. Was there?
It was the feeling of discomfort, really, at first, when I started even thinking about like being able to receive it with an open heart. So like it did feel uncomfortable, but I did it with the intention of an open heart and mind to like receive it and really in my hands, or feel it like in my heart, really making that connection where I felt safe, and just practicing that over and over, even if I was feeling uncomfortable. But then I was like, okay, I'm safe. Smile would light me up. And then now to where I'm in a point like where I give to other people, I'm like, you can receive this. It's from love. And other people start feeling comfortable receiving as well. So it all matters. And I feel so grateful and blessed to be given all of these tools to help myself, to help my daughter, and all of the women in my community, either here in town and just everywhere. It's possible to create the life that you want.
Oh my gosh, Kelly, I love it so much. You're such an inspiration. I love your journey and your story. And thank you for sharing your heart and just all of the wisdom that you've gained through the years, that actually it's like, it's an even, it comes through you. So I so appreciate it. I love it so much. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Jamie.
Hey, thanks for listening. I hope this episode is something that you'll be able to add to your manifestation toolbox to come back to when you need a little extra motivation. If you like what you've heard today and want to take it deeper, you've got to come check out my signature coaching program, the Money Manifestation Movement. It's the place where you'll not only learn manifestation, but you'll begin to live it alongside me and an amazing community of like-minded entrepreneurs doing this work together. Head on over to jamieberman.com to learn more.